Red Bull did not scare Formula One in Austria because it brought an upgrade. It scared Formula One because the upgrade may not even be fully working yet. That is the dangerous part. Because when a new Red Bull package is already showing flashes, even while the team is still fighting hit-and misbehavior, the rest of the grid has a problem. It means the car may have more performance hidden inside it, more stability waiting to be unlocked, more tire protection, more corner speed, more usable downforce, the kind that lets a driver attack without destroying the car underneath him. And if Red Bull has found a new development direction after Austria, then this is not just another update, it is a warning shot. Because one upgrade can make a car faster, but the right upgrade can change the entire championship. And the scariest part is not what Red Bull already gained. It is what happens when they finally understand how to make it work everywhere. Subscribe to the channel. At first, Red Bull's Austrian upgrade looked like just another part in the development war. A new package, a fresh idea, another attempt to find lap time in a season where every tenth matters. That is the simple version. But Red Bull upgrades are rarely simple. Because when Red Bull brings something major, the rest of the paddock does not only ask how much faster the car is today, they ask what Red Bull has discovered for tomorrow. That is the real fear, not the first race with the upgrade, the next race, and the race after that. Because the most dangerous upgrades in Formula One are not always perfect when they first appear. Sometimes they arrive messy. Sometimes the balance is not fully there. Sometimes the driver feels promise in one corner, then instability in another. Sometimes the package is hit and miss. And from the outside, that can look like weakness. But inside a top team, hit and miss can mean something much more serious. It can mean the idea works, but the window is narrow. It can mean the car has found a new source of performance, but the engineers have not fully unlocked it yet. It can mean the fastest version of the car is still hiding. And that is exactly why Red Bull's Austrian upgrade scared people. Because a failed upgrade gives rivals comfort. A promising upgrade gives rivals fear. If the part does nothing, the story ends quickly. The team goes back to the factory. The rivals move on. The development race continues. But if the part works only sometimes, if there are flashes, if the driver can feel something powerful but inconsistent, then the story becomes more dangerous. Because now the team has a direction. And in Formula One, direction is everything. A team with direction is not guessing. It is learning. It knows where to push. It knows what the car wants. It knows which part of the performance is real and which part still needs control. That is why Red Bull's upgrade mattered after Austria. Not because it instantly solved every weakness, but because it may have shown Red Bull where the next step is. And when Red Bull finds a next step, the grid has learned what usually comes next. Refinement, understanding, more consistency, more confidence, more performance. That is how a car becomes scary. Not with one magic part. With a chain, one upgrade improves the airflow. Better airflow improves stability. More stability protects the tires. Healthier tires give the driver confidence. More confidence lets the driver attack harder. And suddenly, the lap time comes from everywhere. That is the Red Bull model at its most dangerous. Everything connected. Everything feeding the next piece. A car that does not just become faster in one place, but easier to trust across the whole lap. And trust is what drivers need more than anything. A driver can fight a car for one lap, maybe two, maybe through qualifying when the tires are fresh and the fuel is low. But over a race, a difficult car becomes expensive. It costs tires. It costs energy. It costs confidence. It forces mistakes. A stable car does the opposite. It gives the driver space to think. It lets the tires live longer. It allows the pit wall to choose strategy instead of reacting to problems. It turns speed into control. That is why this upgrade is so important. Because Red Bull was not only chasing peak speed, it was chasing usable speed. And usable speed wins races. A car can be fast in one perfect condition and still be fragile. A car can produce a brilliant lap and still struggle when the wind changes. A car can look strong in clean air and become nervous in traffic. But usable speed survives. It stays with the driver through fuel burn, tire wear, pressure, and dirty air. It is speed the driver can repeat, lap after lap. And if Red Bull's upgrade is moving the car closer to that, the rest of Formula One should be worried. Because Red Bull does not need a massive miracle to become dangerous. It needs a slightly wider operating window. That means a car works in more conditions, more temperatures, more corners, more circuits, more race situations. It is like having a pair of running shoes that grip on dry ground, wet ground, smooth ground, and rough ground. You stop needing perfect conditions. You can perform almost anywhere. That is what every Formula One team wants. And Red Bull may have brought a package that starts pushing the car in that direction. That is why Austria was a perfect place for this story to begin. The Red Bull ring is short, but it is not easy. It asks the car repeated questions. Can you brake hard and still turn in cleanly? Can you put power down without sliding? Can you carry speed without overheating the tires? Can you stay efficient on the straights? Can you do all of it again and again without the balance falling apart? A weak upgrade gets exposed there. A narrow upgrade gets exposed there. But a promising upgrade shows something, even if it is not perfect, even if the first test is inconsistent, even if the car still needs tuning. The important thing is whether the engineers can see a path. And after Austria, that is what made Red Bull scary. The path. Because the real development war is not won by who brings the biggest looking part. It is won by who understands the part fastest. Some upgrades look dramatic and do very little. Some upgrades look small and change the whole car. Some upgrades fail because they create downforce in a way the driver cannot use. And some upgrades are frightening because they reveal a new way to make the car work. That is a category Red Bull wants this package to be in, not a decoration, not a desperate gamble. A clue about airflow, a clue about balance, a clue about how to make the floor work harder, a clue about how to protect the rear tires, a clue about how to give the driver confidence at the exact point where rivals are still fighting their cars. That is where the upgrade begins to connect to everything else. Because in modern Formula One, the floor is one of the biggest sources of performance. The car creates downforce underneath itself. That means the air moving under the car helps suck it toward the track. More downforce means more grip. More grip means more corner speed. But there is a catch. That airflow must stay controlled. If the air underneath the car becomes messy, the car can suddenly lose stability. The driver feels the rear move. The front stops biting. The balance shifts, and confidence disappears. So when Red Bull brings an upgrade, rivals are watching one thing more than anything. Does the car look more controlled? Not just faster. Controlled. Does it turn in without snapping? Does it stay calm over curbs? Does the rear stay planted when the throttle opens? Does it protect the tires over a longer run? Does the driver look like he can push earlier more often? Those are the signs of a dangerous upgrade. Because when a driver trusts the rear of the car, everything changes. They can brake later. They can rotate the car earlier. They can open the steering sooner. They can get back on the throttle with more confidence. They can attack corner exit without lighting up the tires. And in Formula One, corner exit is where races are often built. A better exit gives better speed down the straight. Better speed down the straight creates overtaking chances. It also helps defense. It reduces pressure. It saves tire life because the driver is not fighting wheel spin. One small gain becomes many. That is how an upgrade becomes scary. Not because it gives one headline number, because it creates consequences. And Red Bull has always been good at turning consequences into domination. The team understands that a car is a living system. A front wing change is not only a front wing change, it changes the air that reaches the rest of the car. A floor change is not only a floor change, it changes how stable the car feels through different speeds. A sidepod or bodywork change is not only about cooling, it changes how air travels toward the rear. Everything affects everything. And if Red Bull's Austrian package improves the way the car manages airflow, then the real gain may not show up in one obvious place. It may show up everywhere. A little better in slow corners, a little cleaner in traction, a little more stable in medium speed, a little less tire temperature, a little more confidence under braking, a little more race pace when the fuel load drops. And that is the kind of upgrade rivals hate. because you cannot beat it by looking at one sector. You have to beat the whole car. That is why Red Bull's new package creates fear even if the first signs were not perfect. Imperfection can be fixed. A bad concept cannot. If the concept is right, the team can tune the setup. They can adjust ride heights. They can change wing levels. They can refine the next version. They can match the driver's feedback to the data. And every session teaches them more. That is the dangerous part. A good idea gets better with understanding. And Red Bull is one of the teams you least want to give a good idea to, because once they understand it, they turn it into a weapon. This is the first major reason the upgrade is scary. It may be more than lap time. It may be a new map, and a new map tells a team where to find future performance. That is exactly what rivals fear after Austria. Not that Red Bull found everything immediately, but that Red Bull found enough to know where to dig next. A few flashes can become a full package. A hit and miss test can become a consistent car. A narrow window can become a wider one. A promising balance can become race-winning stability. And when that happens, the championship pressure changes, because every rival must now decide how to respond. Do they stay calm and trust their own development path? Do they rush upgrades? Do they copy the idea? Do they risk changing their car concept? Do they spend resources chasing a Red Bull direction they may not fully understand? That is the hidden power of a scary upgrade. It does not only improve your own car, it forces everyone else to make uncomfortable decisions. And uncomfortable decisions create mistakes. A team rushes a floor. A team brings a package too early. A team changes setup philosophy. A team tries to copy the shape, but not the understanding behind it. That is how Red Bull can hurt rivals before it even dominates on track. The upgrade creates pressure. Pressure creates reaction. Reaction creates errors. And errors create championship momentum. So this first block is not about a piece of carbon fiber. It is about fear. The fear that Red Bull has found a development direction. The fear that the upgrade is not finished yet. The fear that its hit and miss behavior is not a failure, but the beginning of a much stronger car. Because the most frightening version of Red Bull after Austria is not the version that has already shown everything. It is the version that has only shown enough for the engineers to know what comes next. The next layer is where Red Bull's upgrade stops looking like a normal update and starts looking like a warning to the rest of the grid. Because the scariest part of Red Bull development is not always what it does immediately. It is what it unlocks. That word matters. Unlocks. In Formula One, some upgrades simply add a little performance.